Hello, happy week 12 of 2023. It is late Sunday night. I was listening to a graphic audio and reading, and I gave myself to like 11:30, and then I finished that chapter, and then I was like, oh, and then I was gonna get ready to go to bed. I was like, oh wait, I still need to film my clip for this weekend, so I'm here to do that. As you can see, if you watched any of my videos, there has been a change over here in the boxes, and a pretty drastic one. I ended up working on boxes for quite a few hours yesterday. The Avalanche game was like 11 o'clock or something early. And once the game was over, I was like, okay, I have like 3 hours left in my audiobook. So I was like, okay, I'm going to listen to the audiobook and I'm just going to work on boxes until the audiobook is done. My goal was 10 boxes, but however long it was going to take was how long it was going to take. And you know, it was more just like, I'm going to work solidly for these 3 hours. Well, it ended up being a lot longer than that. I stopped counting at 19, so I know I did at least 20 boxes. And then, you know, I was just kind of running out of space because I had stuff everywhere, and I was like, all right, I need to go through and I need to restack them better. And I also wanted to kind of clear a little bit of a space. So it's kind of hard to see because this box is blocking it, but I now have a pathway that's like right here where this empty space is between my bookshelf there and my tapestry. So I have a little walkway there, which is great because I had a bunch of hardware and stuff. There's like a shorter bookshelf here, or I guess it's like a cube shelf that I have board games in, and all of my like command hooks and the like hammer and my screwdrivers and stuff that I was using before we moved all the boxes in were over there, and I wasn't able to get to them. But all of the boxes in this area I still have to go through, and I think it's 3 rows deep and there's 4 rows wide, but there's lots of different sizes of boxes. And then everything here and kind of here behind me is stuff that I'm keeping and I need to go through. Probably half, if not more than a third of the boxes are holiday. So mostly Christmas, but there is like some Easter decorations and Halloween decorations and like Thanksgiving, like cooking stuff, like a really pretty Thanksgiving platter and stuff like that. So I'm just separating out what I'm keeping, what's going different places. I have a lot of books stacked up in my bedroom that I have to go through. As I was putting stuff there, stuff I obviously was like, I'm not going to want to keep this. I have a box of donation items set aside already. I've got a couple boxes in my kitchen of like mugs and other stuff, so I'll have to kind of start doing running my dishwasher a little more often so I can kind of catch up on some of those extra stuff. And some of them are like holiday or like hosting stuff, because I used to host a lot of like dinner parties and game nights at my old place. So I want to at least get those all cleaned. And I'm trying to save the plastic bins that are still in good condition and use those for storage instead of just normal boxes, especially for like the more food related kind of items. So it's still gonna be a progress, but at least my first initial run through of separating out donation items and trash items and stuff I'm keeping, or as of right now I'd like to keep and go through later with a more of a fine tooth comb kind of a situation, or like holiday stuff where I really won't really dig into the holiday stuff till it comes to that specific holiday, and I can pull all of the stuff that I already have in storage that I had on me, like all my Christmas stuff. I probably won't go through that until like Thanksgiving time this year, and then I can lay out and see all of the Christmas stuff at once and what I'd like to actually hang on to or see if anybody in my family wants. So some of that is kind of deal with later, but at least organizing it and separate, like, I feel so much better. I have a lot bigger of a walkway. But yeah, so I did those 20 plus boxes, and then I reorganized things. And while I was reorganizing, I found at least 4 more boxes that were marked books. One of them was just marked manga. So I found 2 of my manga series that I knew I was missing, and I was like, oh, thank goodness. I still haven't found my Dragonkin books, and I could have swore my sister got me the Dragonkin books in paperback after I borrowed them from her, but I haven't found them, and there's no other boxes marked books, so unless it's in one of the other ones that's just like miscellaneous items. But she got me those when I was temporarily staying with my dad after my mom passed. So then I had to kind of like pick and choose what went back to the storage unit and what I kept with me, because at that point I was renting just a bedroom out of a 2-bedroom apartment from an older lady. So things were just, I had to kind of pare down what I had with me and keep just the basics. So a lot of my books I had to put back in the storage unit at that point. But anyway, so things were happening. And I was so sorry. I took a shower because I wanted to make food and stuff, but I was so like dirty and grimy. I was like, I'm going to take a shower first. And I took a shower, and then I sat down to check my phone, and standing up, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sore. So I tried to do some stretches. And then today was, I guess, Taylor Swift day. I have been like looking at all the clips and all of the spoilers and set list and photos and reaction videos of Taylor Swift Friday and Saturday. And so this morning when I woke up and I was still a little sore, I watched the 1989 tour, and then I watched the Reputation tour. But I was like doing stretches and just kind of relaxing on the couch. And then I was like, okay, I gotta be productive, but I was not productive at all this morning. But yeah, I really, really hope that I'm able to get tickets to go to the Eras tour when it comes to Denver. But let's talk about books I read. So, Friday night, I ended up picking up a book that I mean, it was technically on my TBR and Goodreads, but I never really felt any desire to pick it up because it seems like, I don't know. I've mentioned it before when I read my first book by this author before, but we'll just talk about it. I picked up Morning Glory Milking Farm. I do have to say, I see pictures and stuff in my head. I do not picture the hero like this. If I pictured the hero like this, I probably wouldn't have been able to get through the book. But I have been looking for over a month for a fantasy that does not have magic. And someone mentioned that this one, technically there's magic in the world, but in this, by reading this book, there's no like actual magic in it. And it is a fantasy romance. So I finally was able to get my Romanceopoly prompt of a fantasy book without magic, which, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if there's magic in this world, but I mean, that's such a weird prompt. But anyway, I finally figured it out. So if you're also participating in Romanceopoly and you get that prompt and you have not read this book, or you want to read this book, this is a good option. Or maybe other books in the series. But so this is the first book. It used to be, I think, Cambric Creek, but now it says it's Monster Bait. Book number 1. I'm sure everybody knows this. Basic premise, if you somehow have not heard at all about this book. Minotaurs, junk juice, I guess is what we'll call it. It's been in this world. It's basically the key ingredient in making Viagra for humans. And so they get paid to, and it's all like very clinical. basically jack off. And there's like earners and there's all these different little things, but it is very clinical and not really, there's some interesting discussions about on if it's considered sex work or not. And for the people who are there to run, the situation in the collection system, they aren't in a position of sex work. It could kind of come across that way for these minotaurs who are donating their bodily fluids, but a lot of I mean, if they're just gonna kind of diddle themselves, they might as well make money from it, right? So that was just kind of an interesting setup, but our heroine is Violet, and she is struggling after graduating from grad school and finding a job in her specific degree kind of area. It seems like she's kind of into like historical restoration or historical preservation of like old style houses, which was really cool. And she ends up seeing an ad and on a whim applies for this job and ends up kind of really liking it. But her first client that she is, when she's in training, that she goes hands-on herself, is this sweet cinnamon roll of a minotaur called Rourke, and she gets very hot and bothered while they're doing this. But as time passes, he's the only one, and she's having like very, very vivid daydreams and fantasies about him constantly, and they just have this little spark between them, and it is their like slow building romance, and he is like the ultimate cinnamon roll, and I understand why so many people were obsessed with this book. He was really, really sweet. And I saw that there is a new book coming out. I don't know what it's called, but it is from his perspective of the relationship. So all of this is from Violet's perspective. So yeah, I might pick that up. I don't know. It's not out yet, I don't think, but I'm definitely intrigued to read more. I gave this 4 stars. There were a couple things where I was just kind of like, but I enjoyed it. It was a fast read. It was very cute, and I was reading this off and on refreshing my Twitter feed and my Instagram feed for the people that I follow for Era Tour information. And so I'd like read a few pages and then refresh my Twitter and Instagram and see what new clips might have shown up. But so it was very productive. I don't know, maybe it was very productive Friday night. I mean, I guess it depends on what you consider productive. But anyway, so for my reading challenges for this, it works for Read What You Own, because this is on KU. The audiobook is also available on Hoopla, which I didn't realize, but it's there. Like I mentioned, this works for City Lane. I'll put it over here because the book cover's over there. So City Lane for Romanceopoly, which once again, it could just work for generic fantasy, but I'm doing the more specific prompts. So this one, like I said, is read a fantasy that does not have magic or doesn't involve magic. So yeah, great. I got my book on the back marked. So we will be doing a new Romanceopoly roll, but I'll go over kind of what I'm doing slightly different with it when we do the roll. But I'll get back to this. For Guildathon, I use this for Dance Among the Flames because this was a social media thing. And then for the Pretty Pretty Princess board game quarterly challenge, I use this for Grass. And one of those options is grass on the cover, which you can kind of see a little bit, but there is grass on the cover behind them. Then, like I said, on Saturday when I was doing boxes, I was able to finally finish 10 Trends to Seduce Your Best Friend. I'm also going to give this 4 stars. There was a lot of like... not misunderstanding, but a lack of communication. And he kind of hit his limit on her not really opening up to him in the way that he wanted, but she was also so worried that she was going to do or say something that would make him not want to be with her. So both of them were still trying to guard themselves in some way, just because they knew that they were like in love with each other, but they didn't want it, but they weren't sure about what the other person was feeling 100%. And so they didn't want the hurt to come from that situation. So I gave it 4 stars. Penny Reed, drug. Like, I don't need to have sex scenes, but such a big deal was made about this. I mean, there's lots of tension between them. There was lots of kissing and making out and touching of hands and oral situations, but they don't actually do it. And both of our like adult virgins, they don't do it. They don't go all the way until the epilogue. Miss Penny Reed, why would you do that to us? But I did enjoy it. Another winner of a Penny Reed book for me. I do have to say, after I read this, I was so close to checking out the audiobook for Beard Science and rereading that. Because that's one of my favorite Penny Reed books. It's my favorite Winston brother, although I haven't read the entire series yet. But I saw that Hoopla also has most of her audiobooks on it as well. So I really wanted to reread Beard Science after this. But I held off because I knew I had other books I needed to get going on. But so yeah, 4 stars. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the like STEM focused and how we didn't see that. What I did kind of like too is that the job that Winnie was applying for seemed like the perfect job. She'd be great for it, but the company itself was still, even though they wanted someone who's a little more forward and a little more open and expanding the boundaries of women in STEM and allowing women to be themselves in STEM, they still were looking for someone who was a little more like, I guess, sciencey, but not that Winnie isn't sciencey, but like they looked like a science professor kind of a thing, and not as, I don't know, it was just kind of a weird situation where you could tell that Winnie wasn't the perfect person for them, even though she would be great at that job, but that company wasn't ready for where she would be pushing the narrative for women in STEM, which was sucky. But I like that she was able to find a job then that was just as good, if not better, but it fit her more. And she could still do the things that she loved, but it wasn't like, but she could be 100% free in being herself while doing it. And while it wasn't her dream job, it still was in those same like vein, and something that she would be really, really good at and would allow her to kind of explore and do what she loves to do. So I liked that little bit of what you think might be your dream job, your dream position, maybe isn't either ready for you or isn't as perfect as you thought for yourself, and to not turn down potential other opportunities that might come to you, because that might be your real calling kind of a situation. So I thought that was really nice too. But yeah, I enjoyed it for sure. I did want to delve a little bit more into her past and his past, because they just kind of sat and talked about it, but we didn't really see how, like, they both basically just sat and purged their life history to each other. And while they were kind of able to intimate how this has affected the personality their personalities and the kinds of choices that they make in their daily life, I wish it was a little more drawn out and not like we're staying up all night and we're going to dump every single thing in our past. Like it just didn't, it felt a little unnatural to do it all in one sitting. Like some of those things should be kind of gradual, or when something like pops up and, oh, this reminds me of when blah, blah, blah happened, or why are you having this sort of response in this situation? Oh, remember how I told you blah, blah, blah happened? It's, you know, my response was always to do this in that type of situation. And this is reminding me of that situation. So that's my default to go into. So I wish there was just a little bit more elaboration on that, and just kind of, if they're going to really delve into that aspect of their characters, I just really wanted to go for it, but I still enjoyed it. Like I said, the audiobook was super fun. As for reading challenges I used this for, this worked for Read What You Own on Guildathon. This was for Heat of the Moment, which is pick up a random. And then for the Pretty Princess board game quarterly challenge, I use this for the modern or current version prompt, and one of those options is a contemporary romance. So there is that. Now, let's do the quest calendar and then we'll chat about romance, I believe. So I have been playing, if you did not know, the 2023 quest calendar. This is created by Sundial Games. This is a daily calendar that is a role-playing game. So it's based off of a D20 based system, similar to Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, D20 Modern, that type of thing. The theme for this year is the Voidspark Chronicles. So it's all like space opera, sci-fi situations. So think Star Wars, Star Trek, Firefly, Battlestar Galactica, all the good ones. And it's been a lot of fun. So, we are playing as, let me make sure you can see her here. Yep, Zarilla Tur. She is an Urzen mystic. So Urzen is her race and her class is a mystic. So she's kind of the like Jedi type character in the character options that we were giving. Now, I will show you kind of what this looks like. Saturdays and Sundays are combined onto one page, so you only get 6 pages in a week, but that's fine. And then this is what the calendar looks like. So any of the script type font that we see, this will be the actual story of what's happening. And then anything in this block type font, it's usually in a box, is the mechanics of how we are going to play through whatever portion of the story is for today. All of the information we need for the mechanics is on the back of the previous day's page. And then if it's a combat page, there's usually like a table that tells you either how many enemies or how many rounds and the potential different rolls that you're going to have to make. So it's all encapsulated in the one page, which, or I guess technically 2 pages, because you have the page and then you have what's going on from the previous day. But it's all very easy, very simple. So let's just get into it. So we are currently on a mission and we're headed to another like solar system area, it sounds like, but we have some passengers that we're taking to this other area, and we just went through like a warp gate situation. And while we were there, we came across this asteroid field and got a distress signal ping. So I'm guessing that we're gonna try to do whatever ship is potentially in distress. I'm just hoping it's not a trap, as Admiral Akbar says. So, okay. It looks like the ship is here. So this looks like the ship, and then this looks like some asteroids. So it looks like there's a ship on a large asteroid. Let's see what it says. You find the derelict ship nestled in a crevice of an asteroid. There's no response from your attempts to contact anyone on board. To get to it, you will need to make a careful landing on the asteroid. So we have 2 options for 1. 1A is safely land on the asteroid using dexterity reminder piloting. And B is also safely land on the asteroid, but this one is a wisdom roll with piloting. Our wisdom and our dexterity is both 3, so it doesn't quite matter, but we'll look at the other page and see what's going on. And then number 2 is enter the ship, and that is going to be a dexterity roll with the reminder of the skill check, danger sense. So let's just get into it. Okay, and we do have a little bit more information here. So you can make out the reading for the name of the ship. It is the Argyle. The damage on the Argyle indicates it may have been in a battle before crashing. There are blast marks on the exterior, and there's a hole blown out of one side of the bridge. That's not good. Okay, so here specifically 1A and 1B are combined. They don't have different options, and since I have the same modifier, it doesn't really matter too much if I choose one. So I have a +3, and we do not have the piloting skill, so it's just +3 to our D20 roll, and let's see what we get. And that is a 1. Which is not good, but we do have the ability of time step, which is once per page, reroll any die and take the new result, and we literally can't do worse than what I just rolled, so we are going to use time step, today's time step, and that is a 12, so that puts us at 15. Okay, perfect, and the highest result is 15 or more, which is great. There are no flat areas on the asteroid. You land the ship safely at a haphazard angle without damaging anything. The ship takes 1 point of damage minus your shield value. Let me just switch to my ship character sheet. Now our shield value is 1, so we take 0 damage, which is great. Very good. Okay, so then on to number 2, enter the ship. The Argyle is in a precarious position and not settled well on the asteroid. It could move as you explore inside. There are also broken parts and exposed wires everywhere. So this is a dexterity roll, so that is a +3 with danger sense, which we do have, which adds another +2. So we get a +5 to our D20 roll. And that is a 19, so we are at 24. This one is also 15. If the result is 15 or more, you safely enter the ship from the hole in the top of the hull. Perfect. So that is it for the normal calendar page. However, on the weekends, a new feature for the 2023 calendar is what they're calling the Sunday Lottery. It's in this little box here in the corner. And what this is an option for you to do every weekend. You get to roll, if you would like, a D6. If you roll a 1 or a 2, you lose some credits. If you roll a 3 or above, you can gain some credits. So might as well do it. We might be able to squeak a couple extra credits out. There's a good chance that we gain at least a credit over losing a credit, and that is a 5. And 5 is gain 3 credits. So I will get that added to our character sheet when I pack everything up here. Now, I will set up my Romanceopoly board and we will do the roll. However, because Morning Glory Milking Farm finished the prompt I had currently going, if the next prompt I roll would fit 10 trends to seduce your best friend, I will apply it. I just didn't roll right when I finished that book. So I will apply it because it still is in sequential form. And I totally forgot to tell you what I was reading today. Or if it also works for the book I'm currently reading, which I did not talk to you at all about, One Fell Sweep. I will apply it to this, and since I already would have it set up, even though I'm not finished with One Fell Sweep yet, I would roll again just to kind of save us some time of me having to drag everything back out. So we will do that in a minute. Let me talk about One Fell Sweep. I started this Saturday night after I took a shower and wanted to relax for a little bit, and then I read more of this evening when I sat down to eat dinner. And yeah, this is what I was reading when I was packing up to go to bed. I am almost done. I am on page 267. That's chapter 13. I'm listening to the graphic audio on Hoopla while reading along. And the romance between Shauna and Dina is heating up. I am loving this. We finally get to meet Maud, who is Dina's sister, and her adorable daughter, Helen. And she's a half vampire, and there might be something going on between Arland and Maud, and I'm into it. But basic premise of what's kind of going on, there are creatures called Hinas. What are they called? I lost what they called. But anyway, so they're creatures who have been basically wrongfully hunted by this other race of aliens, and I still don't quite understand why exactly they're hunting them down, but they're kind of like religious zealots, and they're basically like trying to eradicate these heroes, I think. And they have heard from a special being that they basically gave up all their wealth and their knowledge to ask this being a question on how to save their race. And they are coming to Dina for a safe place to assemble this being together and ask their question. And Dina then will also get to ask a question as well. But they're being hunted by this other race. So we'll see what happens. I'll let you know when I finish it. More information for sure. Okay, we're all set up and ready to go. I picked out these 2 dice to use for today, and then I've got my little stone kitty thing to use. So we're currently here on City Lane, and here are the cards for moving forward. So let's just kind of jump into it. So let's see what happens. So 3 and a 1. So 4 total. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's Campus Corner. Let's see what that gives us. Okay, so Campus Corner is our next. I don't know if you can see. There we go. Our next one. So this is a new adult genre card. Or we can choose, I've been doing the specific prompts. So this is read a book set in a college or university. So I will try to pick up a book that has that setting ASAP. And then we can just kind of keep moving on. So it's a little unfortunate that it didn't get me one that I can immediately cross off my list. But I have at least 2 books that are in the top of my mind that I would want to read. This next in a series that I have already started recently, and get those taken care of. I mean, and it just has to be set there. It doesn't have to be a new adult book. It could be Professors There or something. So we'll see what happens, but I will let you know when I pick up a book that works for that prompt, and then we will move on. So that is it I have for you today. I hope you all have a great Monday, and I will see you all tomorrow. Hello. Long time no see. Once again, it is Wednesday. Apparently this is my thing now, to film a clip on the weekends and then a clip on Wednesday. But yeah, there were things. Monday night, there was the Avalanche game, and it was super late. And then last night, I came home, and I ended up taking a nap. And then I don't even remember what I did after that. Oh, I watched a TV show, and then I ended up going back to bed. So after I had dinner, so it just... it's just one of those things that happens time to time, and that's okay. So I have some things to chat about for sure. So let me kind of move stuff here. I needed to get something off of Amazon, and while I was on there, I just went ahead and looked at the books and saw if anything was on sale, and I did see that a couple of books were on sale, so I went ahead and got them. So I will show you those really quick, and then I'll show you the other box we have to unbox here. So, I recently read this, Song of the Forever Rains by E.J. Mello. This is available on Kindle Unlimited as read and listen, and the paperback was on sale for like $7 for an indie published book, and I had to get it. The books 2 and 3 were also on sale, just not as cheap. I think book 2 was like $9, and then the other one was like $12 or $13. But I was like, I'll just get book 1 for now, even though I still have some gift card money left on there. I was like, I'll just get this one for now. So I super enjoyed this. I think this cover is absolutely gorgeous. Plus it'll be fun to be able to hold it up and show it when I talk about it for my March wrap up. And I'm very, oh my gosh, because I listened to this in audiobook, I didn't notice it's got really cute chapter headings. But yeah, I'm super excited. Hopefully I can get to the other 2 books in this trilogy soon, but I just thought this was absolutely gorgeous. Oh, and there's a map. I love it when fantasy books come with maps. Oh my gosh, so fun. So fun. But yeah, so I got that. I'm excited to get this added to my fantasy shelf. And then I also got The Last True Hero by Beck McMasters. I have not read this book yet, but this was on sale for like $3. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna buy this one while it's on sale. I have Beck McMasters is a person that I would like to collect most of her books for in paperback. I have loved every single book that I've read from her. This one I think is her like post-apocalyptic series. I don't know if it's paranormal or fantasy, but I know it's like an apocalyptic type setting. It's part of her Burned Land series, but I don't even think this is the first book in the series. It was just super, it was on sale. Okay, yeah, so this is book 2 in the series, but like I said, it was like $3, so I snatched it up super quick. And then while I was on there, I was just looking, and I was debating back and forth. There was supposed to be paperback announcement coming soon, but then it wasn't made, and I figured I have the next book pre-ordered to come out next year in 2024, and that one will be in hardcover, so I might as well just cave and buy this one in hardcover. Plus it was on sale for like $15, which is cheap for a hardcover, so I got it. I got House of Breath and Sky in hardcover. Oh my gosh, this is a thick beast. So I will start reading that this weekend. I do currently still have the ebook checked out. I know, and now, even though I prefer the paperback ones, now I feel like I need to get the hardback copy of the first book in this series so that they all match. But I'm gonna keep my library checkout for now, because if I end up taking a bath or not wanting my lights on, I can switch off in between. But I am kind of trying to check every other day to see if there's people who have joined a wait list after me, and if I see somebody else pop up, I'll just return it so they can get the book back right away. But like I said, it was $15 and I was getting stuff anyway. Ooh, look, there's pretty artwork on the inside. Plus, it seems to be a thing that there's a fancy dust covers for Sarah J Maas books, so I'm sure once the rest of the series comes out, there will be special edition artwork dust covers that you can buy. So I just caved. And it is what it is, and I'm happy to have it. And even though I'm not a big hardback person, I actually am kind of excited to have this one in hardback. Yeah, I don't know. I'm feeling conflicted about it, but I have it now, so that's great. And I didn't realize it's shiny. But yeah, I cannot wait to start this. Like I said, I plan to start this weekend. So that was the books that I got for my little mini Amazon one. And I still have some gift card money on there, so I'm trying not to just spend it all at once and just check it every once in a while. If I'm looking at something else, I'll just go through a couple of my book lists and just see if there's anything on sale, because it's always great to grab it when it's on sale in paperback. But the other unboxing that I have for you is I got my Fortune Cookie Soap subscription box. So if you have not seen me unbox this before, Fortune Cookie Soap is a bath and body product company out of Oklahoma, and they do bigger monthly collections. They also do every once in a while mini collections, but their subscription box is for every month. They have like a new theme that they do scents around. The subscription box, I'm grandfathered into the old price. I believe the new price is $19.95 with shipping, and then when they ship around the 12th of the month, you get a code for $10 off of a $25 purchase. That's good for 30 days. I love them. I haven't used my code and gotten any extra stuff here lately, but I have kept the subscription box because I think it's super fun. You get to try a bunch of different scents. You get a bunch of different products that you get to try from them, and I highly recommend them if you're looking for like handmade, small batch bath and body products. So every month they have a little card that will tell you the information. So the theme for March is Look to the Sky. Interesting. And as you can see, the extended collection launches March 31st, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. I will link them down below if you'd like to check out their website. In the past, their subscription boxes had a waiting list, but I saw a couple months ago they opened up a bunch of spots. But if you're interested in them and seeing some of their scents and seeing when they launch like mini collections, like once or twice a month, definitely join up for their newsletters. And then all of our scent descriptions are on the back. They do also have a quarterly box that's once every 3 months, and there's usually 5 or 6 scents in that one, and it actually comes with a Fortune Cookie Soap bar. Then, after we get our postcard, we've got our tissue paper that usually matches the theme. And then they always create 4 different stickers. And then they sell them for like $3.99 as the 4-pack on their website as well. So this one says, "The moon reminds me you are still whole no matter what phase you're in." Ooh, that's a gorgeous sticker. I think that's super pretty. That's like right up my alley. And I'm very excited for that. I definitely want to look and see what the other stickers are in the collection and get the 4-pack if the other ones are just as fun. Okay, so let's see what we got here. All right, looks like we have 4 items for this month, so I'm just going to grab one. So Shine On Aloe Me Whipped Cream. So it's a little early, I feel like, in the year for the Aloe Me's. Usually these are their summer thing. But what the Aloe Me whipped creams are is half of it is aloe, which is this side, and then the other half is their whipped cream. So that's their like hand cream body lotion, but it's thicker. I actually prefer that to their normal lotion formula. It's really nice. It sinks in great. But let's see what it smells like. Oh, I just got aloe all over my nose. Huh. I mean, I'm getting very light florals, but it's not like smacking me in the face. And I know there are things that different people do that I've seen in their Facebook group. There are some people who like to mix them. So there are some, what I like to do when I use this is I'll get a little bit of the aloe, and then I'll get a little bit of the hand cream, and then I'll mix them together when I use them. But like I said, I usually prefer to use this come springtime, because the aloe mixed in with it makes it a little bit lighter. Plus the aloe is great. I actually have their straight aloe. I have a jar of it in my fridge right now in case, you know, you get sunburned or you need something that's a little more cooling. But let's see how this smells mixed in with my skin chemistry. Oh yeah, definitely florals. Maybe, I want to say this reminds me of like the orange blossom soaps. There might be like a touch of like lavender or jasmine or one of those common scents as well. That's okay. Like this is a really good light floral scent, which I really like. Sometimes they can get a little too perfumey for me, but I like this. Like in the floral scent realm, I would give this like a 5 out of 5, but in just like normal scents realm, I'd give this a 4 out of 5, because it's not, floral still isn't my go-to, but I like that a lot. Let's see what it says. When you can't find the sunshine, be the sunshine. Radiant orange blossoms and bright citrus blend effortlessly with a glimmer of jasmine and vanilla sandalwood. I didn't really get the citrus, but I definitely got the orange blossom and the jasmine. Cool. So there's that. So next we have Paint the Sky linen spray. I love their linen spray. I use their linen spray every single night. I put it on my pillowcases right before I go to bed. It is one of my favorite things of their product. I always have to have at least 2 different linen sprays, like for when one runs out, and then I can choose between the scents of what I want next. So let's see. Oh, okay. It's a little strong in the bottle, but I feel like once you spray it, especially on linen, I think this is there's something in this that's similar to their flannel sheet scent, which is one of my favorites. So I feel like this is one of the like linen, cotton, cashmere, like one of those types of scents. And then there's something that's just like a tinge sweet. I just got it all over my nose here. But it's not like overwhelmingly. It's just like a little hint of sweetness. I like that. I think I would give this also a 4 out of 5. But we'll have to see once I can like spray it on a pillow and see how the aroma of it. Oh my gosh, and I just spilled it all over. All right, so what does it say? Paint the sky. The sky speaks in 1,000 colors. Fresh air sweeps across soft cotton and cloudy coconut milk to impart a feeling of colorful sunrise and sunsets. I'm definitely interested to try this one. I'll probably try this one soon here just for fun, so I can give it an official rating with it like being used. Okay, on to product number 3. This is Superfruit Facial Oil. I haven't seen this before. This is a new product to me. It's Just a Phase is what it's called, and it comes in a dropper bottle, which is super fun. I haven't seen them have a dropper bottle before either. So let's see what this says. Pump oil onto your fingertips. Gently apply to clean skin. Do not rinse. Okay, so this seems like it's supposed to be like a hydrating facial oil maybe. Let's see. Now I prefer, like, as you can tell, I have skin issues with my face. So I prefer things that are definitely lightly scented and not too strong, unless it comes to like super fun paper face masks. Then I don't care what scent it is really. But for stuff that like I rub in, I prefer the scent to be a lot lighter. But let's see what it is. Let's see what we've got here. Ooh. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Okay, this is a 5 out of 5. I'm getting like melons. Ugh. There's something else fruity in here, but the melon is like super like cantaloupe, honeydew, watermelon, that type of thing. Like it smells like when you would get those 3 melons in a like fruit parfait, not parfait, but like one of those cut up fruit bowls, and it has all 3 of those. That's what it smells like to me. And I actually like this. It is a little over scented for what I would normally prefer, but it smells great. Like this is my type of scent. I love the fruity scents. So I don't think it'd bother me too much. I would just need to figure out where I would put this in my normal facial routine. I know technically you're supposed to go thinner to thicker. So I might have to look and see if they have more information or if there's any reviews of their facial oil on their website to see if anybody recommends where or to use this instead of like a moisturizing cream, or if anybody else, what successes they've had with putting this into their skincare system. But let's see what it says. 4-scent description. It's just a phase. Darling, the moon is still the moon in all of its phases. This glowing fragrance combines fresh coconut shavings with a celestial mixture of watermelon, cantaloupe, and refreshing cucumber water. I always get so excited when I like nailed what the scents are. Okay, and then the final item here. Ooh, super pretty. And I've been doing salt so far, but we have Sprinkle of Stardust bath sugar. I've never had bath sugar. I use bath salts a lot. And I tend to go for the unscented bath salt because then I can put like bubble bath or bath oil or bath bombs in it. But this, okay, yeah, it says to use it just like bath salt. Add to a hot bath. Also works perfect as a foot soak. That's fun to know. I love this purple color. It's pretty. Okay, let's see what we got. Oh, okay, yeah, this is fruity, but I'm getting like vanilla and something like slightly musky or ambery. And there is some fruitiness to this as well. I can't, maybe something berry, maybe something not, maybe like something stone fruit, like a plum. Not apricot. But the vanilla is like what's hitting me the most, as well as whatever that muskiness is, whether it's a musk or like an amber or a sandalwood or something like that. But I like this. I like this a lot. I think I would mix this with something that either could amp up the fruitiness if it has a similar scent profile, or like use it with like an aromatherapy spray or something like that. But so super pretty, and I love the hollow packaging, but I love this color purple. I think I would give this one a 4 out of 5 as well. So we got 3 4 out of 5s and 1 5 out of 5. So this is definitely an A+ box scent wise. So let's see what this says. Sprinkle of Stardust. We are all of us stars and we deserve to twinkle. Soothing warm notes of almond and cashmere sprinkle the sky with brilliant Marabella plum, black raspberry amber, lush peony, vanilla bean, musk, and cosmic cotton candy to create this dazzling fragrance. I got some of those notes, and some of those other ones I did not smell at all. But that also explains why I couldn't figure out musk or amber or the sandalwood. So it's the musk combined with that floral, combined with the cashmere, with that amber. That's why it was like, what am I smelling? But no, that's fun. I am super excited. 3 of these products I use all the time, and I definitely am intrigued to learn more about this facial oil and do more research into it and see if it is something that would work for the type of issues I have, or at least not exacerbate whatever issues I have going on. So there are those. And I didn't show you, but this one is a glass bottle, and it came in this little foam thing to keep it safe. So That's always great too. Anything that they have like in their glass, like their scent diffusers or anything like that, usually come in a little bubble foam thing like that. Okay, so while I get this packed up, let's talk about the books that I've read since I last talked to you on Sunday. So, I have plans to, once again, I keep saying it, and I'm edging myself, and I am aware that I'm edging myself. I still have not picked up this book. I was planning on picking this up Sunday night as my physical copy that I was reading. Instead, I picked up my Kindle, and after rolling my Romanceopoly roll, I decided to finally pick up Hating the Player by Rebecca Genshak. This is college sports romance. The hero in this, Gavin, is a basketball player, which I haven't read very many basketball sports romances. This is the second book in her Campus Wallflowers series. I enjoyed book 1, and this is Violet's book, and she is the cousin to Daisy, who is the hero in the first book. And they're also roommates and then with their 2 friends. But this one was super fun. She is she's going to college for fashion design, so we get like her artistic thing, but this is a second chance romance. And we see her and Gavin butt heads all throughout the first book. And then in this book, we kind of figure out the situation. So what happened is when she was a freshman, I think they're now in their sophomore year, maybe in their junior year. I think maybe they're sophomores though. But when she like first was a freshman, I think Gavin's in the grade, is a grade above them. Her and Gavin started a thing, and they had this really like instantaneous kismet connection between them, and had like the best 3 weeks either of them have ever had dating wise. And yes, I get they're still in college age and they're still young, but it was like that type of like faded feeling with them. And then she came home one day and found him naked and passed out in her roommate's bed. This is her dorm roommate, so before she moved into the house with her friends and her cousin. And since then, like, they called off whatever burgeoning relationship that they had, and she's basically hated him since then because she is so hurt, and she's still like so into him and so attracted to him, but she's just so hurt. So she takes it out on him and she can't handle it. He is the like main guy for their next door house that they are living with. So we saw them butt heads all the time in the first book. And this is kind of them reconnecting and talking through the situation. And you know, he's good friends with Jordan, who's the hero from the first book. And, you know, with Daisy being Violet's cousin and them wanting to all hang out together all the time, they kind of have to try to figure out a way to at least be civil with each other when they're around everybody else. And I really, really enjoyed this. We definitely had some familial issues with Gavin that were dealt with a lot in this book. His father is a retired NBA player, but he was on the road all the time, and it came out after he retired that he was basically cheating on his mom the entire time with many different women. So not only was he choosing to be an absentee father, but Gavin is so like on his mom's side. And I actually teared up a couple of times because his mom, and maybe she pushes it a little too much, but she's always like, have you talked to your dad? She reminded me of my mom in the divorced kind of situation, where my mom was the same way, where she didn't want anybody to talk bad about my dad in front of me, whether she herself or, I mean, I very distinctly remember my aunt or my grandma saying something about my dad, just kind of an offhanded snide comment. And I remember her like taking him in the kitchen and being like, I don't care that you don't like him. I don't care that you have thoughts about how our relationship ended or went. But he's still my children's father. And I don't want you saying bad things, mean things about him in front of them, because he's still their father. And I was always so grateful for my mom for that. Didn't quite go the other way. But I mean, that just kind of, I don't know, it was kind of touching to see his mom kind of say the same things for him. And so he's kind of dealing with reconnecting with his father and figuring out if he, you know, and just, he has that mindset because he thinks that he cheated on Violet and his father was a cheater. So he thinks it's going to be the same as his dad. So he doesn't want to be a professional player and he doesn't want to walk in his father's footsteps. So he's like pushing him aside things that he loves, like basketball, because he's just so adamant against not being his father. And I mean, I enjoyed it. I did wish, I gave it 4.5 stars. I did want a little bit more from their romance, because while we saw kind of the build up from book 1, I feel like once they kind of reconnected, it was just like they're together and everything's la-di-da-di, and they just kind of were like set. But I wanted more fleshing out of their romance now that they have come back together. But once they kind of came together, it was more focusing on Gavin repairing the relationship with his father. And I wanted a little bit less of that and more of their romance. But the epilogue is like 9 years later, and we have, I think they had a boy, and Daisy and Jordan had a little girl, and they were all going camping together, and he is a professional basketball player. And the epilogue was just so sweet. Plus, I mean, I knew because I read her Holidays with the Players duology that came out last year in for Christmas, that the older brother of the two twins of that duology was going to be the third book in this series. But we get the hints of him, and it seems like he's going to be with Dahlia, which means book 4 is going to be Jane. And book 3 comes out, I think, July? So it's not too far away. But I'm intrigued to read book 3 because Dahlia is super shy. She is a sports person as well. She's a golfer, but she's also a fellow fashion design student. And it seems like it's going to be her romance with Felix, which I'm excited for. And then book 4 will be Jane's book, who I guess is actually Ivy? Because somebody called her Ivy and she was like, it's Jane. Which I thought it was weird because all of the other 3 girls have flower names except for Jane. But Jane's really Ivy. So my mind was just like, what? So I don't really read noodle books, but I don't know. These books are very like, they are the tropes. They're a little bit predictable in what's going on, but they're just so much fun and I love them. And sometimes it's nice to just go into a book and just be like, yep, I can guess this is what's really happening. Yeah, this person was the mean girl and ruined the situation or whatever. But it was just kind of nice to just go with the flow and not have to be like twisting and turning with all of these different things going on. So I loved it. Like I said, 4.5 stars. For reading challenges, for Read What You Own, or this worked for Read What You Own. For Gildathon, this is the last book in an ongoing series, so I get the 10 points plus the 1 for the books in the series. For my Pretty Pretty Princess board game quarterly challenge, I use this for Jewelry Box, which one of the prompts for that one is read a book with an artistic character, which I consider a fashion design person artistic. And then for Read the Season Spring quarterly challenge, I use this for H, for hating the player. So that's for the title. And then this works for my Romanceopoly. So Campus Corner and the stricter prompt was read a book set in a college or university. So I have officially finished another romanceopoly one. So after I'm done filming this clip, we will do another roll and see what happens. Okay, so I started that Sunday night and I finished that Monday during the Avalanche game. Then after the Avalanche game, I put back on my audiobook and I finished One Fell Swoop. 5 stars. I love this. We see the romance really heat up. Oh my gosh, I was crying and completely freaking out about what happens to Dina, and I was just like, I trust Alona Andrews, but I was still freaking out. And this was probably, like, the graphic audios are always great. This is probably my favorite graphic audio for the series so far. They just, that little exponentially greater in the sound effects and the music. This was so much fun. So much fun. And I'm really, really intrigued to see what's going on. I know the next book we're focusing on Maud, and we have Maud's romance with Arland, and I loved her daughter, Ellen. Oh my gosh. And then we get to meet Tony, who is the other local innkeeper, Ramirez? Mr. Ramirez, I think. His son, who is also somebody else associated with the Assembly of the Innkeepers. And then we have the hero. And this book. Everybody got their comeuppance in the end, and we got the romance really kind of moving forward. We get the surprise of Sean's parents showing up at the inn, and then they're helping out with the big final battle, and then we get the other werewolves coming to help out. And I love Alona Andrews. I love this series, and I can't wait to read more. And that's all I really have to say about it, is it's amazing and I love it. So, as for reading challenges, I guess I can still show it. This worked for Read What You Own. If you can tell, like the other Innkeeper books, I am reading this physically along as listening to the graphic audio. They are available on Hoopla. For Gildathon, I use this for illustrated book, which has pictures or has a beautiful cover, of which this has both. This one I think only had 2 illustrated pictures on the inside, but it had them. For my Pretty Pretty Princess Quarterly Challenge, I use this for Castle. One of the options for that was a building on the cover. We got Gertrude Hunt on here. And then for Read the Spring, I use this for Alona Andrews. And then I'll show you just for fun, I found my mom's King Tut bookmark. So I actually ended up using that one, and it has some of the hieroglyphic alphabet down there, which is cool. So I finished that also on Monday. And then I ended up randomly, instead of picking up this book, I found a novella, and don't ask me why I picked it up, but I just did. I had it checked out on KU, and I was like, sure, I'll read it. It's a 100-page. So I read this last night. And I picked up Earl's Prize Curves by Gemma Frost. This is the first book in her Lord's Love Curves series. The second book isn't out yet. I gave it 3 stars. For an insta-love, historical romance novella, it just didn't quite hit everything for me. I thought the down on her luck heroine was a little too down on her luck. I didn't really feel... It felt more insta-lust than insta-love to me. I thought the situation was a little funky. The age gap didn't bother me too much, except for one thing. She's like 22, he's like 42, and she's friends with his twin daughters. And his wife has since passed away. What I did not like is, and she's also curvy, if you could not tell from the titles, but she's very adamant that she does not want children, which is fine. Like, choosing to be child-free, great, love that representation, except even though she's young and technically she's friends with his father or with his daughters, if she marries him, those girls technically become her children. Now, they're mostly grown. One of them's already engaged and will be out of the house soon. But I'm like, technically he has children. So you would be becoming a stepmom. Even though there's the weird age situation, technically you are becoming a mom and you now have 2 stepchildren. So that felt a little weird to me. But I also thought it was kind of funky how she was like very learned from books, but yet she was a virgin, and he was very domineering, wanted to tie her down and all that more light, kinkier stuff, which was fine, but it just didn't really fit the way that the characters were when they, I don't know, there was just kind of something disjointed where it felt like steam for the sake of having that type of steam, but it didn't really fit the other dynamics that were going on in the novella. So I gave it 3 stars. Who knows if I'll ever read the second one, but hey, I tried it. You never know until you try a new author. And I usually try authors a couple of times before I say no more. But it was at least entertaining enough. I gave it 3 stars. As for the reading challenges, this worked for new to you author. Read what you own. For Gildathon, technically it's an ongoing series and book 2 isn't out yet, but it's supposed to come out soon. So that gives me 10 points for that. For the Pretty Pretty Princess board game quarterly challenge, I use this for Cursed Ring, which is a gloomy, doomed, or mysterious looking cover. And then for Read the Spring, I shifted this to one of the holidays to work for the letter J for her name, Gemma. Okay, and that's that. So let me get the quest calendar and then I will be back. Okay, I'm back. Ended up having to do some other things. I got distracted while I was getting my quest calendar set up. So if I'm in a slightly different spot, I'm sorry if that bothers your eyeballs. Let's do the quest calendar and then I will get my Romanceopoly board set up and do those rolls. So where I last left you this past weekend was we came across the ship in the asteroid belt that was giving the distress beacon, and I think were able to safely land near it or on it or something. Okay, so looks like we are going to explore this ship. It looks like we've got some numbered rooms here, so let's see what's going on. You enter through the hole in the bridge. None of the systems are operational, but some emergency lights are on. There appears to be no sign of life thus far. Begin at the X and navigate around the ship. Visit each numbered room along your path. Explore and resolve each room you visit before you choose your next. Okay, so we start. Here is our X. So I'm going to say we'll go back here to 6, and then we'll come forward, and then we'll come over here and do 4 and 3, and then we'll come back up and do 5, and then it looks like, oh, maybe 2? No, that's 5. Okay, so we'll do, when we're here, we'll do 5, and then we'll do 3, and then we'll come across and do 4, and then we'll come up and do 2, and then we'll do 1. So that'll be the route that we're going with. So we will start going backwards to room 6. In the engine room, you find a common ship rodent. Somehow it survived the crash. It appears angry and hostile. So wisdom roll, reminder, animal tamer. We do have animal tamer, which gives us a +2, and our wisdom is a 3. So we get a +5 to our d20 roll. Okay, and that is a 10. So we're at 15. If the result is 11 or more, the rodent turns away from you to go hide in the rubble. Okay, so nothing much there. So back up to the X area, and then we'll come over to 5. The door to get into this room is locked. Choose a way to get in. A, dexterity, reminder, locksmith. B, strength. Or C, intellect, reminder, computers. I'm going to go with the dexterity. That's our best bet, and that gives us a +3, and we do not have locksmith. Okay, that is a natural 20. Very cool. What were we at? 5. If the result is 15 or more, you get through the door and find some dead bodies. Several crew members were locked away in this room during the firefight or the crash. You find a yellow key card. Add it to your inventory. Okay, that's a little sad. Room number 3 is next. A strange darkness washes over you when you open the door to the cargo hold. An invisible force pulls at you and makes it hard to leave. Constitution, reminder, Arcane Adept. And our Constitution is a 1, and we do have Arcane Adept. So we have a total of +3 to our roll. And that is a 12, so 15 once again. This one is, if it's 13 or more, the force pulling at your body as you try to leave the room is a miniature gravity well caused by something magical. You use physics to orbit around the center and fling your body out of the room. Well, that's good, I guess. Then we will go across the way to room number 4. It looks like another cargo hold. The crates and other cargo items in the room are floating around in 0 gravity. Avoid floating debris as these heavy items could collide into you and crush you. So dexterity, reminder, danger sense. And we do have danger sense, and our dexterity is once again a 3, so another total of +5. And that is a 12 again, so that's 17. Which one was this one? Room 4. Okay, if the result is 15 or more, you dodge out of the way of all floating hazards. Perfect. So then up to room number 2. There are several dead bodies in the hallway. Intellect, reminder, investigator. That's sad. So our intellect is a 0. And we don't have investigator. So it's whatever we roll. Okay, that's an 18. That's good. That's a good roll. What do we got? If the result is 15 or more, the crew on board appears to have been in a gunfight with pirates that boarded the ship. You find 4 credits on their bodies. Okay, I mean, I feel a little bad looting the dead, but okay. So we have a yellow key card and 4 credits. And then up to room number 1, that's the final room. I'm guessing that's the end goal here. So let's see. You have entered the bridge. You may stop exploring the map, or you may continue to explore and return here when you are done. So yep, we are at the final room. All right, so once again, we entered here at the X. We went back to the engine room here. Then we came up. We opened this room with the dead bodies inside of it. Then we went to this gravity cargo, then across here to the one that had 0 gravity. Here's where we found all the dead bodies, or more dead bodies here. And then here's where we are in the bridge. So let's see what Tuesday brought for us. Oh, okay. So it looks like we found a bot, some sort of robot dude. On the bridge, you find a ship bot that is disabled and shut down. If you can get it operational, you will have another crew member. Fun. So SD247. He has +1 to integrity and +1 to computers. Great. So number 1 is fix the ship bot, which is a wisdom roll, reminder, engineering. And 2 is reboot the bot's computer systems, intellect, reminder, computers. That's fun. So let's see if we get more information over here. Okay, so fix the ship bot. So once again, wisdom, we do not have engineering, but our wisdom is a +3, so that's good. Okay, so 16, so 19 total. All right, if the result is 15 or more, you have fixed the ship bot and appears to be in excellent condition. Gain a +3 bonus to reboot the bot's computer systems. Number 2 below. Perfect. Okay, so rebooting. So intellect is a 0, but we get our +3 bonus, and then reminder computers, which we do not have. So we just get our +3 bonus, so that's good. Okay, and that is a 13, so 16 total. Oh, if the result is 13 or more, the ship bot reboots successfully. Hi! Can I help you? Really? she's full of it. Okay, the shipbot reboots successfully. Hello, I am SD247. How may I be of service? You now have a new crew member to assign to a compartment on the Karnak. So he has integrity. Increase the integrity of the compartment this member is assigned to by +1, and he gives us computers. So we now have the skill computers, which will be perfect because we have come a lot of times where we could be using that skill. Perfect. So he should be in the stickers that are in the back of my book. Yep, he is right here. Here he is, SD247. He's so cute. I love these little reusable stickers. And so let me go to the ship. And let's see. We can put him in engines, or in the bridge, in the crew quarters, or in the weapons. You know, I'm just going to go ahead and put him in the bridge. Because I think that makes sense. Because he gives us computers. And we found him in the bridge in this one. So I'm going to mark. We get another integrity. So here he is. He is in our bridge. And then we have 4 integrity in that compartment. And then I will come back to my normal character sheet and add computers. What is the matter with you? Can I help you? My goodness. Okay, so that's super fun. So that was yesterday's page. So once again, our new little robot friend. I love it. So let's see what today's calendar brought. Okay, it looks like some sort of cargo container type thing. You find a locked container nestled away and partially hidden under a computer terminal. It is heavy and difficult to move. It is sure to hold some nice treasure. You just need to get it open. If you have the yellow key card, it unlocks this container. Perfect. So we do not have to break this thing open. We have the key card. Okay, let's see what it says. You place the yellow key card in the slot of the container. You hear a beep and see a small green light flicker. The container opens with a hiss. The treasure inside will be revealed on the next page. All right, so we will find out tomorrow what treasure is up for grabs, which is exciting. I don't think we've gotten any. Well, I don't know if we'll get. Or no, we've got to. We've got to. Okay, we've gotten one treasure before, equipment-wise, for our character. But I'm guessing we'll get something for our character and not the ship, which is great. So that's exciting. All right. That's it for the quest calendar. The Avs had an early game today. They lost to the Penguins, but it was one of those games where, like, all of the bounces and all of the freaking penalties just kept going against the Avs. It was just one of those games where it just like the Penguins kept getting lucky, and the Avs just they had so many great chances, but their goalie was on it and they just couldn't find that little thing to get past it, which is unfortunate because if they had won tonight, they would have taken first in the Central. But as long as the Penguins tomorrow night go and kick Dallas's butt, we still have a chance of overtaking Dallas. But anyway, since it is almost 9:30 now, I will be picking this up. I'm going to take a shower, but then I'm going to finally start this. I need to start it. I need to enjoy my time with it. And I don't have any plans for an Avalanche game tomorrow night. So tomorrow night's going to be my goal to just read this. So I'm going to start it tonight and try not to get too sucked in and be up all night. But that happens with me with Vivian Lorette because I absolutely love her books. So it's time. It's time. I've been edging it for a month. I just got to finish the series. I just got to get it over with. I hate, it's so hard to finish the series, especially a beloved series. But I already know that we're going to get a new book come winter time from Vivian Lorette. That's the start of her new series. And the pre-order's not up for it yet, but I saw it. I think it said November is when it's supposed to be out, but anyway, I'm going to try to start this tonight. So I'm going to get things packed up here and get my Romanceopoly board all set up, and then I will be back to do my new roll. So I will be right with you. All right, we got the board out here. I chose these 2 dice to use today, and then here's my little kitty. So we are on Campus Corner, so that's one of the green ones. So we are here. So let us, and here are our cards here. Now, like I mentioned in the previous clip, I have finished 2 books since I was able to apply this prompt. So if what we roll would work for 2 of the books that I've read in chronological order, I will just kind of continue roll to apply them there, just to kind of save us a little bit of time here. So, whoa, okay, wow, big roll, 11. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And we have officially passed go. We don't get to collect $200, but we are on, back at the beginning here, we are on the library. And the library is free choice. Read any book from any genre. It is up to you. So I will be using this library prompt, and I will apply it to the Alona Andrew book, One Fell Sweep. So that one is done. Let me just pull out my book here, and I'll just make a note that this is, we rolled 11, because I'm keeping track of that, and it's 322. Okay, so let's do let's do roll number 6 and see what the next prompt is. Okay, so that is 7 total. 4, 5, 6, 7. So Passion Palace. Interesting. Okay. Let's see what Passion Palace is. Okay. All right, so this is a contemporary prompt. Read a slow burn. So we can do either just a generic contemporary, or the more specific prompt is read a slow burn or instant heat contemporary romance. Well, that's unfortunate because the novella I picked up is an instant heat one, but it wasn't a contemporary. So I think what would work perfect for this is an insta love, insta-lust novella, or a slow burn, but we'll see what kind of happens. Like I said, I'm going to pick up that, Vivian Lorette book next. So this will be kind of put aside, but I think once I get through my next book club book, which is The House of Sky and Breath, I'll try to pick this up because I'll be able to kind of do some mood reading. And speaking of... Okay. I just realized I haven't told you about the audiobook that I'm currently reading. I picked up an audiobook for the last couple days at work. I picked something random on Hoopla. I knew I wanted another contemporary romance, so I picked up The Bookworm's Guide to Dating by Emma Hart. I'm 60-something% into it, and I'm enjoying it so far. It's fun. It's super shy, introverted. The series is around 3 friends who own a bookshop together that they inherited from an older lady, and they used to be the #1 patrons of this bookshop. So it was in her will that when she passed, if her children weren't going to carry on the business, to give these 3 girls the first chance at buying the bookshop and then running it. And this first one, our heroine, Kinsley, it is her 29th birthday, I think. She's in her late 20s. And she decides that for her next year, she's going to try to put herself out there more often and start dating. And she's like maybe once a month or maybe every other month. So I don't know. She's really cute. There's definitely a lot of winks and nods about book readers, book lovers, romance readers, and she's just throwing in all the little winks and nods. And while there's a lot of them, it's just, I don't know, I'm just finding it fun, and it's a little bit cheesy, but she ends up having her best friend, or her brother's best friend, kind of teach her how to be less introverted and awkward and uncomfortable on dates. And of course, he's been crushing on her forever, and she's thought he's hot. But so we've got brother's best friend, teaching, dating kind of a situation, and I'm really enjoying it. And I definitely want to read the other 2 books in the trilogy because it seems like I don't know, I'm just enjoying it. It's super fun. I've read a couple of other Emma Hart books before. One of them I gave like 2 stars and I did not enjoy it all. The other one I enjoyed. I think I gave it like 3.5 or 4 stars. But this one so far is like a 4.5-ish for me. So I can't believe I totally forgot to mention it in my other clip. But I'm currently reading this. But this does not qualify for me as a slow burn or an instant heat. I mean, maybe slow burn. But they've already kind of gone at it. And it was like at the 60%. And I feel like that's not a slow burn to me. At least it didn't feel slow burn because of how the pacing has been. So I don't think it'll count for that. But pulling that prompt made me realize I forgot to talk about the audiobook I'm currently listening to. So yeah, I picked that up Monday at work, because I was still listening to the Alona Andrews audiobook, but because I wanted like my full attention on that, I ended up picking up something random I had favorited on Hoopla that I could listen to at work, that I could be a little less focused on. So there's that. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. I think that's all I have for you, and I didn't forget anything else. Hello, happy Wednesday? Happy Wednesday. No, Thursday. Happy Thursday. Okay, so I have some things to chat with you about. So let's just do books first. Last night after I took a shower, I was doing my facial stuff. I tried doing a couple of calming masks and a sleep mask and stuff to kind of help with my skin. Since I was talking about it yesterday, I was like, why didn't I do a mask? It's been a little bit since I did one. So I listened to an audiobook while I was doing all that, and I finished The Bookworm's Guide to Dating, and I'm going to give it 4.5 stars. I had such a fun time. It's a little cheesy, it's a little campy, but it was just fun, and it made me laugh, and it made me smile, and it was cheesy, and I just enjoyed myself. And I am an emotional reader. I'm an emotional rater. And I mean, I feel like I could give it 5 stars, but is it a favorite? I don't know if I'd call it a favorite. Would I reread it? Yeah, if I was in the mood for something and I wanted to reread something like this. And so I just really, really enjoyed it. And yeah, so I am glad that this is an Emma Hart book that finally works for me. And I really did enjoy this series. And I kind of want to look and see, because I feel like we hear some things about some side characters. I know this series has 3 books in it, and it's the 3 girls that own the Bookworm bookshop. But it seems like there's other side characters, so I don't know if they're from other books that Emma Hart has written, or if she's just like fleshing out the world building kind of situation here, but I would be interested in checking for these other ones. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed this. This worked for Read What You Own, because I'm including library books with that. For Gildathon, this worked for Heat of the Moment, which is a random book. For Pretty Pretty Princess Board Game Quarterly Challenge, I use this for the hair prompt, which one of the options is hair on the cover. And then for Read the Spring, this worked for the letter B, which is a part of spring itself. So this morning when I was at work, I was like, I'll pick up another audiobook, and I was thinking of historical, but I was like, I'm kind of in the mood to listen to more contemporary audiobooks. And then I was like, ooh, why don't I try to find something for my new Romanceopoly prompt? So I was like, let me see if there's any insta-love. I just knocked my list down here. Any like insta-love novella type audiobooks that I had favorited on Hoopla. And so I picked up Talk Wordy to Me by Frankie Love. This is the first book in His Curvy Librarian series. The audiobook is an hour and 44 normally without it being sped up. I listen to it sped up. Oh man, I gave this book 2.5 stars. Honestly, I could probably rate it lower, but I'm going to go with 2.5 stars. But I on Goodreads, I left it at the 2. The bookish nods, the reader nods, all of that I loved in the previous book, The Bookworm's Guide. Here, it was done wrong. And it made me angry. This is a romance book by an author who primarily writes romance, if not only writes romance. And her heroine is, there's a couple of romance books. Oh, and her mother is a romance author. That's part of why she became a librarian, is because she grew up surrounded by books. And she kind of disparages romance. Oh, we just have a couple of romance books at home. Because who doesn't have a couple of romance books? She considers her favorite romance book a Nicholas Sparks book. It doesn't say which one. But Nicholas Sparks is not romance. He himself has been very clear on the fact that he does not write romance, and his books don't have happy endings, which is like the one stipulation for a romance to be a romance. So between her, she was very much one of those uppity librarians, and I'm like, this is a romance author who only writes romance, with a character who supposedly likes romance, with a mother who writes romance, and this is definitely geared towards book lovers and romance lovers, and specifically, and yet we're gonna disparage the romance genre in this book. So first of all, that alone dropped it down to like 3 stars for me, because I just was angry about the situation. And honestly, the romance didn't really do it for me. So the main heroine, her name is Cassidy, but people call her Cookie, and she has a like senior book club that she puts together at the library, and one of the older gentlemen has been trying to set her up with his grandson, and she finally caves, and they go on a blind date, and then they both decide that they don't want any strings attached and they're attracted to each other. She's still living at home, which is fine. She is a virgin, which didn't really feel like that would needed to be a thing in this book. And they go on this date, and she says something completely crude, takes everyone, like him, aback, and surprises him because he wasn't expecting it from her. And she kind of surprises herself that she actually said it out loud. And then they go back to his place and start getting it on in his hot tub. And it was zero chemistry for me, zero tension between them. And I was just like, why? Why are these two people attracted to each other? Outside of apparently they think each other are hot, but even then, that wasn't really felt in the tension between them in the situation. And then it's, that it's just a one night thing. Oh, now it's a couple time thing. And then we're gonna, not be together and not have a relationship. And then she starts falling for him. And then his grandfather has a stroke and he only wants her at the hospital. And then he proposes to her while they're at the hospital, which that's probably not a decision to make when in a very high emotional state. But it's supposedly he was going to do it anyway. And then they couldn't wait to get married, and they only got married a couple weeks later. And I was just like, sure, yeah, this is going to last. So this is one of those insta-love ones where it just did not work for me at all. And then add all of the hating on romance genre and just romance in general on top of it. Yeah. Honestly, I feel like I should give this lower than 2.5, maybe. I mean, I feel like the highest I can give this is a 2. So I'm probably going to drop my ratings down to a 2-star. Because you know what? I don't feel bad about being mean. And I have read 1 or 2 other Frankie Love books before this. And the highest one got was a 3-star. So I think for the most part, I'm done with Frankie Love. Unless it's tropes that seem to really intrigue me. And one of my other friends has marked this that they enjoyed this. But I think for the most part, I'm done with Frankie Love. As for the reading challenges that I applied this to, this worked for Read What You Own because it was on Hoopla. This worked for my Passion Place Romanceopoly card. So that was, the specific prompt was read a slow burn or an instant heat contemporary romance. So that worked for that. For Gildathon, I used this for Got Burned, which is read an author you previously didn't like, and unfortunately I got burned once again. For the Pretty Pretty Princess Quarterly Challenge, I used this for Cinderella, and one of the options for that is read a book with a wealthy character, and he's like a luxury real estate agent or something and like super wealthy. And for Read the Season, I applied this to the letter L for love in as her last name. And this had to go to the first holiday that I'm working on outside of the word spring. So there is that. Okay, I had a phone call, so I am back. So the other book, after I finished that this morning, I was just like, I need good book person representation. So I went back to Emma Hart and I picked up book 2 in the Bookworm's Guide series, which is the Bookworm's Guide to Faking It. And I'm 51% into this. I left work at like 37-ish%. And then I listened to it while I was making dinner instead of a podcast because I was like, I'm going to continue reading this book. And I'm probably going to binge the last book here shortly. It'll probably be the next audiobook I pick up as well. But I'm enjoying this one so far. So we kind of got hints that the hero was going to be potentially coming back. And so this is between Holly and Sebastian, or Seb. And we actually found out in the previous book, he is from this small town. I think it's in Montana. Because they were talking about Billings at one point. But he's a pitcher in a national baseball team, and he recently did some damage to his rotor cuff, and is doing rehab. And in the first book, the heroine actually ends up going on a date with the guy who is the rehab therapist. So that's how we find out he's coming back to town in the first book. And they just kind of mention, oh, we won't tell Holly. So the situation here between Holly and Sebastian is they were like childhood best friends, mutual pining, but both of them didn't know. And at prom, when he was leaving soon to go to college, or just leaving. I don't know if he went to college or not, if he went straight to playing ball, but he was leaving their small town. Holly had planned to confess her feelings to him. And what ends up happening during prom is she goes to find him because she finally gets the nerve up to go do it. And she finds him kissing another person in like a little secret kind of hidey room or whatever. But not only is it a different person that he's kissing, it is the girl who has bullied her basically their entire school life. So that's like a doubly like stab in the heart situation. And she just gets very hurt and basically stops talking to him. Doesn't let him explain, apologize, or anything. And it's been, I think now 8 years, maybe longer than that. It's been quite a while. And he's back in town. And of course, he is like, you're still not over that? And she's just like, no, I'm not. I still don't like you and I still don't want to talk to you. Because she's still hurting. Because, you know, she really felt like he was it for her, and to be betrayed like that, even though he didn't know the situation. But somehow he finagles away, because while he's also back in town, his sister is getting married, his older sister, and so he somehow finagles Holly to be his +1 to the reception, and then it then also becomes the wedding as well, because his sister is like, no, I really want to be here, want her to be there. And so they end up, it's up in the mountains because his sister wanted snow for her wedding. So Sebastian actually ends up like reserving the entire ski resort so that it's just them there. And then of course, you know, he books Holly a separate room, but when they get up there, I don't know what happened. The reservation got deleted by our system or something funky. But I can't give her a room because everything's booked. And he's like, I'm the one that booked everything, so no one else would be here for the wedding. And she's just like, I'm sorry, I can't do it. So it was really kind of flimsy, because if he's really, and like she knows who he is, and I'm like, I'm sure there's record somewhere that he is the person who physically booked all of these rooms. So wouldn't he then have the right to put people in whatever rooms he wanted? Or have access to all of these rooms if he's the one that booked them? But whatever. Basically, they then get forced to share a room. And it is like a suite. So it has like a little couch living area and then the bed. And then she feels bad because she knows he's still kind of recovering and a couch is uncomfortable. And she's like, it's a king size bed. We can share it. No big deal. And he has plans to their last night together up at the resort before they go back to town. He tells her he will tell her like midnight that last night what basically she has to allow him to explain the situation and what happened so they can try to move past it. And that first night they're together, he cannot hold it back anymore, and he basically spills the beans. And so what we find out is he like knows to the T. He remembers so clearly what she was wearing to prom. And this other bully person had bought a very, very similar looking dress. It didn't have the rose on the back, and she had a very similar twisted updo. And basically he was kind of led slightly astray, and he was planning on kissing Holly and letting her know of his intentions and that he would do anything to make it work long distance with her. But when he went in the room, he just saw the dress and the updo in the darkness and thought it was her. And he didn't realize it wasn't until after the fact, and then he left. And then one of the friends, or one of her friends that they were with, basically reams him out at prom, because then he finds out that Holly walked in on it, and then she'd told him that she wanted her space, and he gave it to her. And so he talks about how his biggest regret was that in his young teenage self gave her what she thought she wanted and what she was asking for, and that he does regret that he didn't push it more before he left, because he could have given her space for a couple of days, a little bit of time, and then pushed more to try to explain what happened. But instead, a bunch of time went by, years went by. So they are reconnecting, and when he kind of spills this, she's like, I have to go for a walk. And finally she comes back, and she kind of opens up about how, I was going to tell you I loved you that night, and explains to him that was even more, like, it wasn't just good friends and she saw him making out with her longtime bully, but that she was going to confess to him and that she was in love with him. So that was even more hurt in the situation than he realized. And then she's like, I need to go for a walk. And he lets her, he does say something like, you're not going to run away again. And she's like, we're stuck in the mountains. I have the room key. I have literally nowhere else to go unless I want to freeze to death outside. I will be back. And so the other thing on top of this is her, like, one of her stipulations of going with the wedding to him is that they aren't dating. She doesn't want any confusion about what's happening. They're there. She's there as a friend. They've reconnected as friends. She is the plus one. I guess they made some pact when they were little that whenever any of them needed a date to go to an event, they do it. They also made a pact, and there's a little sly mention of it, that if they weren't married by the time that they're 30, they'd marry each other, which is, I love that type of trope. It's super cute. But yeah, so they are at the wedding, and his grandfather shows up, and that's a whole other thing I didn't really mention, is there's the cast of, like, all of these people, grandparents in the local, like, old folks home, and they got ducks in the previous book, and it was just, like, this whole big thing about these ducks, and now the ducks are still a thing. The elderly grandparents and just their wackiness is still a thing, and I'm enjoying it. Is it a little kitschy? Is it a little cheesy? Is it a little silly? Yeah, but it cracks me up. And so between that book and this book, the ducks have since been named, and almost every single one except one of them has a pun name. So, like, there's James Pond and Quacky Chan and Cheese and Quackers. And then the one that isn't is like Phyllis or something like that, because that was her name before the old folks home got the duck. And so she was already named that. And then, there's fights, and, all these elderly people are crocheting and knitting outfits for the ducks. And there's one duck that's actually a boy, but one of the girls, Mabel, is like, no, it's a girl. And no matter what anybody does to show her proof that this duck is a boy, she keeps putting it in dresses, and it's like this whole thing. And so we get some discussion about that. But while Sebastian is in town, his grandfather has broken his hip recently. So he's at this home to kind of get some around the watch care until he can get his hip surgery, because they want him to kind of strengthen his muscles and just his body in general before they do the surgery. And so now he's making friends with the grandparents that we all saw in the first book. And when Sebastian runs into him, he's carrying Holly's suitcase, which is like bright pink. And his grandfather asks him about it because he's walking in the door at the same time. And then his mom jumps in and is like, oh, Holly and him are dating. And then his mom introduces, even though his mom knows that they actually aren't dating, but his mom and his sister and everybody knows, at least his close, like his immediate family there. I don't think his grandfather knew, but at least his mom and his sister knew that he was in love with Holly when they were younger. But then his mom goes around and like doubles down and introduces to everyone at this wedding as his girlfriend, Holly. And now she's all stressed out because he's going to go back to the home. His grandfather's going to go back and say how they're dating, and then her grandmother's going to find out about it, and it'll be this whole big thing. But they're kind of starting to open up to each other, and where I stopped listening to they're really cute, they're back from the reception. She is drunk off her butt, but she only had like 3 drinks, and that's one of them was with the dinner. So he's just like, she is a lightweight, and she's just completely drunk off her butt. And there's like junk food, and she just wants to read, and she's just having the time of her life. And I love these books, and these books really, even though all 3 characters you can tell are different kinds of readers, you can tell that they all love reading. And there's just the little nods to things that happen with book people and romance readers, and how much she hates the love triangle. And I'm like, I feel you, girl. Why do you keep picking up love triangles? Stay away from them if you don't like them. So yeah, I'm just enjoying it. We haven't gotten super steamy yet. The previous book, I feel like it was like 60-ish%. So I feel like it might be coming up soon, when they're both not, or at least when she is not drunk off her butt. But I'm kind of enjoying this reconnection. I'm not the biggest fan of Second Chance, but I'm coming around to Second Chance when they were childhood people, or when they were childhood friends or lovers, or like when they're young. So I feel like whatever miscommunications or whatever mishaps from there can easily be taken out of context, or just be taken harder than they probably should be. And now that they're as adults, they have the tools and the resources to work through those types of issues and realize that they're really not that big of a deal, or be conscious enough or aware enough to actually listen to the other person's explanation of the situation, kind of a thing. So I'm finding there are some second chances that I can jive with. But yeah, I'm loving this. It would not surprise me if I finish it tomorrow at work. So yeah, as you can tell, I've been ranting on about it for almost 15 minutes now. So I'm a big fan of this book so far. And I'm really I'm really loving this series. And I'm very intrigued to see who Sailor's partner is going to be in the 3rd book. I don't remember what her title is, but yeah. So I'm enjoying these so far. Like I said, they are all the audios are available on Hoopla for the trilogy. And then because I was listening to the audiobook last night, I keep pushing it back, but I still have not started this. But it is 9:05. So I took a shower last night. I don't have to take a shower tonight. So I'm going to read this. I promise. I'm going to start this tonight. Because it's not super late. I can get a good couple hours into it at least. So I just need to start it. I just need to stop pushing it off and stop hemming and hawing. I know that as soon as I read like the first page, if that, I will be sucked in, because that's just what Vivian Lorette does for me. It's just so hard knowing it's the final book in a series, but I still have other Vivian, like, it's not like it's the final book I have left of hers to read until her next one comes out, because I do still have a couple of her backlist books to finish, and I have been working on rereading all of her backlist anyway, up to the Mating Habits of Scoundrels series. And maybe because when this one came out, I didn't reread all the books in the series, because every other release, that is what I have done. I did not do that for this one. So maybe if I had done that to prepare myself, maybe I would have gotten into this a little quicker, but I keep saying I'm going to reread a bunch of things, and none of that keeps happening. But tonight is the night. Tonight is the night, knocking all the wood for me. Okay, let's do the quest calendar. And then I'll have another romance obly roll to do. So let me flip to my character sheet here. Oh, that's right. Yesterday we found the chest that the yellow key card worked for. So today should be, today is easy peasy day. Love it, because I've rambled on so long about books. So we have the Photon Comms Link, the Photon Gloves, and the Photon Shield. So, yep, pick only one item. Alright, so we have intellect and 2, so we have +1 intellect and +2 to health, +1 to intellect and +1 damage, or +1 to intellect and +1 defense. So I'm going towards the comms or the gloves, but let me switch in over to what my character has equipped. I'm leaning towards the gloves, and we do not currently have a pair of gloves on. So I'm going to go with that because that'll give us +1 intellect and +1 damage. And the more damage I'm able to do, that means the less hit points we'll take in combat. There's other ways to take damage, but most of the damage we get comes from fighting. And if we do enough damage, then we stun someone and then they cannot attack us. So I'm going to go for that because I feel like damage is the top tier, and then we'd want to go to defense, and then we'd want to go to health. So I'm going to do the Photon Gloves. So let me flip to the back here. Okay, so I got my little Photon Glove sticker, and we're going to put it here. Alright, there we go. I got my gloves on in the gloves section. So I'll get that added to my character sheet here, get those stats updated, and that's it. So a super easy quest calendar today, which is always great to throw one of those in, especially on days where I'm talking a lot. So let me get stuff kind of cleared off my table here and get my Romanceopoly board, and I will be back to do my new roles since all of a sudden I'm going through them like crazy. So I will be right back. Alright, here we have our board out here, so let's pick, we're gonna go pink and teal today for dice, and I'll grab my little kitty and I'll put that over there on the Passion Palace. Okay, so I will get my notebook out here so I can keep track of what we're rolling, and let's just get into it and see what happens. So, ooh, double ones. So we have 2, 1, 2, so we're on Courtship Row. So, let me see. Oh, I did not grab my cards. Hold on. I know. Okay, I knew I was forgetting something. Okay. Those off. All right, 1, 2. Courtship Row. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay. Courtship Row. This is, if you're doing the generic, this is historical. But the specific prompt for this one is read a historical with a clinch cover. So it's time. It's definitely time. I now am doubly pushed to finally read this. So, since we're already here, and I planned on picking up that book next, I'm going to go ahead and do the next roll, just so we kind of have an idea of what'll be next to kind of help save setup time and all of that. So I'll go ahead and roll the next one that I will be doing after Courtship Row. So that is 7 that time. Wow, 7. Okay. Write that down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So Faded Alley. Okay. Oh, Faded Folly, not Faded Alley. It helps if I can read, huh? Okay, so this is Paranormal is the generic one, and the specific prompt is read a paranormal with a bit of magic in it. So I will be looking at picking up a paranormal sometime soon. Obviously, I'm going to finish this one first. Maybe instead of picking up the third book in the Bookworm's Guide series, maybe I'll pick up a paranormal book that has magic in it. My next physical book after I read the Vivian the Ret will be the SJM book, House of Sky and Breath. Of which, yesterday when I filmed my clip about it, guess what I saw on Instagram later that night? The paperbacks have been announced. Like, I couldn't wait a few more days, but there's going to be some special edition paperbacks, so I'll probably cave and buy the special edition paperbacks anyway, and I'll just gift away the current paperback I have. Maybe to my sister, I'll see if she wants it, and then I'll buy a hardback copy that matches the current one I have, but all these special editions, man, but the artwork is gorgeous for sure. So I will be doing this one. I will be starting this book tonight. The universe has made it so. And then I will look at picking up a paranormal very shortly. But I will let you know, or you will obviously see when I start reading a paranormal, and just know that it will probably work for that prompt. With that in mind. So I think that's all I have for you today. So I'm going to leave you here, and I will see you tomorrow on Friday. I hope you have a great Friday, and yeah, happy reading, and I hope whatever books you pick up, they are just what you want them to be, like I'm hoping with Never Seduce a Duke. Have a good night. Hello. So it is actually Saturday morning, not Friday, but I have some things to chat about, and they're mostly why I didn't film an update last night is because the Avalanche game was late or in the evening. So by the time all of my post-game stuff wrapped up, I was just so exhausted. I just went straight to bed. So it's been a long week. But that's kind of really only the big deal why I didn't film it. The Avs won though, so woo, that's good. They are still only 2 points behind taking first in the Central, and they have 1 game in hand, which is 2 points. So we'll see what happens. They don't play again till Sunday, and they played against the Arizona Coyotes. And even though the Arizona Coyotes, especially in the last few years, have been kind of at the bottom of the standings, for some reason, they just have the Avs number, and it's always a struggle for us to win a game against them. But last night we won 3-1, so that was great. But anyway, let's talk about books. So yesterday at work, I did finish The Bookworm's Guide to Faking It by Emma Hart. And I'm going to give this one 4.5 stars as well. This one felt shorter. I think it was shorter than the first book, but I just really enjoyed it. This one is definitely more of a slow burn. We didn't have our first real kiss till like 80-ish%, just over 80%. And it was near the end that we got our first full steamy scene, but that's fine. I wasn't sure when it was going to happen, but there was still some kind of struggling of them, mostly on Holly's part, of just kind of, I mean, she's been carrying the hurt inside of her for almost 10 years now, so it's going to take more than 5 minutes to get over it. Oh, there's this squirrel playing outside the door. That's fun. He's playing in the snow because we got a couple inches last night. But I enjoyed it. I had such a fun time again, and it's really kind of cute to see them run the business, and they're coming up with these ideas and these bookish mugs, and I'm just like, yes, I love it, because I myself love to buy those types of things. And I don't know, this series just makes me happy, and I feel like it represents bookish people, but more specifically romance specific people, in a good way. So, and very true to what I feel like a lot of bookish people think and just how they treat their books. The only thing I will say is that both of these books, and I think also the third book, start with them getting angry, like with our main heroine getting angry at a love triangle situation. And I'm like, just don't read them. Just don't read them. If you don't like them, just don't read them. Although I feel like in the beginning of this one, or spoiler alert, I started the third book, or the third one of them mentions that they were told by one of the other two girls that it wasn't, or they like did not mention it was a love triangle. But this one, I feel like in this one, it was like a love triangle. Maybe it's the third one. See, they're running together. But one of them, it's a love triangle with a heroine between a mafia person and like a good guy. And she's just like, no, I don't care if the good guy's not a part of the mafia. We have a tattooed sexy boy who, alpha male, who just wants to do whatever to you. Choose him. So this is a book we can choose what we probably wouldn't choose in real life kind of situation. And I was laughing because I was like, oh my gosh, I love it. So it just, these books make me happy. And, you know, they don't really quite fake date. Everyone thinks they're dating, but they're not. And then there was kind of a comment made a little bit by Holly's older sister, who we saw in the previous book, was pregnant. Her name is Ivy. Her husband is Kai. And there's a point where Holly is walking to the restaurant to meet up with everybody, and Kai passes her and gives her a ride to the restaurant. And he's like, how is it that both of you girls have ended up fake dating in the same family? So I'm like, So I did do some research, and it's kind of a duology. It's listed as a series on Emma Hart's thing, but it's really a prequel and a book one. And the audiobooks are also available on Hoopla, which is great. But I'm pulling it up here. I should have, oh no, it logged me out. The guy next door, the girl next door, something next door. And I think from what is told to us that it might be like an accidental pregnancy type situation. And then they end up kind of, I guess, fake dating, since that's what Kai mentions. And I mean, I'm intrigued to go back and read Ivy's book. And then when I was looking at her other, oh my gosh, my Hoopla logged me out and now is saying that my username doesn't exist. What do you mean it doesn't exist? Okay, so there is another series by, I have to figure out what's going that, by Emma Hart. That's like the Introvert's Guide. So this series is the Bookworm's Guide, and there's the Introvert's Guide. And I was looking, and I just kind of glanced at it because it had similar naming style. And the first book is Tori, who is a friend of the girls that we've seen in these books. And I think it said Colton, which is the older brother of the hero from the first book in this series. So if I'm still kind of feeling Emma Hart and binging this series, I might go back and read Ivy's book and novella. And then I'll come over to the Introvert's Guide, which is, I guess, a spin-off series for it. So I don't know. Emma Hart's just really hitting the spot for me right now. So like I said, 4.5 stars. And now that I've just kind of rambled on, let's talk about... Oh, and we get some lead up into book 3 and Sailor's situation, but we'll talk about that when we mention her book. So, for reading challenge, I use this worked for Read What You Own. For Gildathon, this was Turn Up the Heat, which is read a romance. For my Pretty Pretty Princess board game quarterly challenge, I use this for the instructions prompt, of which one of the options is read a book with more than one word on the cover. And then for Read the Season, this worked for the letter B in spring. Yeah, so then I started book 3 at work because I was like, do I want to start a book? So I'm only like 4% in because I started it kind of late in the day and then there was stuff going on, so I didn't get to listen to it too much. But this is Sailor and Dylan. And Dylan is the British personal trainer that works with Sebastian's team from book 2. And he is moving to town, and we see Sailor kind of struggling in the previous book because her landlord's raising her rent by a couple $100, so she can't afford it anymore. But everywhere else is also kind of raising their rent to the same price, so she's kind of getting forced to take in a roommate, and so she does Dylan. And then when this book starts, it's been some time has passed since the situation in book 2. So they are kind of friendly now, and she's really struggling because she has the hots for him. She's into him, but she does not want to ruin the situation because they get along. He's a good, they're good roommates together, and the living situation has been good, and they just kind of seem to click. And she really, really wants to have sex with him, pretty much. But she doesn't want to ruin that. And he's definitely feeling things for her. And I love it. Sailor's like the super sassy one of the group. And so far, I'm really enjoying their dynamic. It's great. We have a different male narrator this time, I think, because he's British, but it's the same female narrator as the 2 previous books. And she does okay when she does his voice, but I'm enjoying it. And I think this will be fun to kind of get Sailor's sassy side. I feel like this is the one because she was yelling about the mafia guy and Dylan walks in from like going on a run or something. And so he just kind of talks to her like, you wouldn't really want a mafia guy. And she's just like, in my books I do. So I don't know. This series just is making me happy. And it's just giving me what I want right now. So I'm excited to finish this. I don't know if I'll listen to it this weekend. Maybe I'll work on some boxes and listen to it. But otherwise, it's going to be my go-to till I finish it at work. Then the other book we have to talk about, Never Seduce a Duke by Vivian Lorette. Now, I said I was going to start this Thursday. And what happened? I did not start it Thursday. However, I started this Friday morning before I went to work because I woke up early. And then I got home from work and I read more of it before the Alona Andrews Read Along live show. And then I read it during commercial breaks and intermissions during the game. And finished it during the game. So I read this book in one day. It does not surprise me. I was trying to read very slowly at first. And then I was just like, I can't do it. I can't do it. So the end of the series, Meg's book. Now, I am going to talk about something. It is kind of spoilery. However, I'm going to mention it because it is in the epilogue or the final chapter of the previous book in the series. So we knew this situation was going to happen coming in, but we get to see the time frame. So in the end of the previous book, we get a scene where Meg finds out that she's pregnant. So this book starts before that happens. So we get to see the lead up to that situation happening. which is about half of the book. It's up to page 200, I think, almost exactly. Yeah, page 199. So this is Meg and Lucian. And Lucian is the Duke of Merleton, and it was really interesting. This is almost like a King Arthur retelling-ish. So Lucian and his family protects a book. And it's like has bejeweled, and it's recipes from like the time of King Arthur. And it's really funny because it's like, here's this recipe. It's supposed to imbue a warrior with bravery and fast healing and stuff. Like, it's all those kind of like mythological recipes almost. And he is very much a scientist. Like, he is a scientist to the nth degree. And he's been doing experiments with this book. And then, so in book 3, I think. Yeah, because the previous book was Prue's book. So in book 3, which is The Wrong Marquess, which I think is still my favorite in the series. At the end of that book, Meg decides to go on a holiday to the continent with Ellie, who's the heroine in book 3, her aunts. So we have Maeve, and they're both M1s. Oh my gosh. Maeve and, I mean, I was laughing on page 1 in this book. I love them to pieces. They've been in every single book. Myrtle. And their big thing is they like sneak into other places and they finagle recipes, like family secret recipes from everyone. And they have this huge collection, and they are known to have like the best like wedding feasts and the best food, and they're known for having like refined palates and always having the best food no matter what. And that's what they do. They're like little recipe thieves. And so when they're on their way to their holiday, they stop at the keep that is Duke Merleton's or Lucian's place, because they want to steal a specific recipe from his cook. And while they're kind of finagling their way in, what happens is Meg kind of gets separated from Myrtle, and she's kind of in the secret underground area where apparently one of the rooms is where the round table actually was, which was super cool, and runs into the Duke. Now, after this encounter, the Duke finds out this family heirloom book was stolen, and he thinks it was Meg. So now we have her going on holiday with the aunts to collect recipes throughout Europe, and he's chasing them down and he thinks she is Lady Avalon, and he's trying to get the book back. And Lady Avalon is known for being a seducer and stealing other items from people. She's like a renowned thief kind of a situation. And poor little Meg is like, I'm going to have one grand flirtation. I am one step away from being on the shelf. And she ends up having this flirtation with Lucian. And it is just so, I don't know, I had so much fun with this. And we got to see them kind of hanging out in France and Germany, and then they go to Italy. And then we have the big moment between them, and the aunts get caught trying to steal a secret recipe, and they're basically being run out of Italy. And at the same time, Lucian's older sister Morgan, she's his half-sister, gets sick. So there's a situation where neither of them get a note between each other. And it's kind of a big deal because the note that Meg leaves for Lucian is telling him who she really is and where he can find her, and that, you know, she'd like to continue their relationship when he gets back to London. And I have to plug my phone in, so I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. So I don't even remember where specifically I was, but I really love this book. But I do have to say, I know some people are very sensitive to it. When she finds out that she's pregnant, it's a couple months after their interlude in Italy. And then we have a 2-year time jump. So at page 199 or whatever I said is when we have the 2-year time jump. And then the rest of the book is them coming together after the baby's already born. And I mean, he's been looking for her for 2 years. He says he's looking for the book, but really he's looking for Meg because they were falling for each other. And there's this really sweet thing where we see it in the 3rd book, but Meg and her family, the Stedwicks, are known to just marry for love. And they have this almost, like, their legacy is that they're love matches. And the Stedwicks are known to have this knowing within them that, you know, this is their one, this is their person. And that's just it. And there's a really cute way of... Another thing is she thought that she had a knowing with someone who was their neighbor, and then he ended up marrying somebody else. So at the beginning of the book, she's heartbroken because she had just received a letter from this other dude saying, I have married someone else and moved to Canada. So that's a whole thing. But her and Lucian are just so... I just love it. I just love it. And I was like, when I saw it 2 years later, I was like, But then I was like, I was okay with it. I was okay with it once I got into it, because then we got to see their kiddo, and I don't know. It's just, this book just, Vivian, there's something about Vivian Lorette's writing that just hits me. And like I said, like first paragraph, I was in it. I was laughing. I was just, there's something just so, like, it sweeps me away. And I love Vivian Lorette to pieces. I know I've said this before. I will continue to say it. She is one of my favorite modern historical authors. I just love her and her books to pieces. And this was such a fun end to the series. I do wish that we got to see a little bit more of everybody at the end, but in the epilogue we did see everyone come together, and oh my god, all of the guys. Lucian brought some like armor and part of his place, the keep, and like put it in the Crossmore Abbey, which is where Brandon, the Marquis, and Meg grew up. And so he brings like a suit of armor and all of these things. And so at the very end of the book, we have everybody coming together, and all of the boys are gonna do fake battles with all of this armor and medieval weaponry against each other. And I just, this book made me so freaking happy. Now, the other thing I do want to mention, and where I put my bookmark, is page 64. I guess I didn't put it in the correct one. But page 64, I remembered this. So, now, this really said something to me, because when I got the book, you might have seen, is I looked in the back to see what it said her next release is going to be. And so it said Vivian Lorette launches a brand new series in late 2023 with a story about a debutante who makes up a fake fiance, The Liars Club. So we know, I looked up on her website, the first book in the Liars Club series, I think, is set to come out in December, is what her pre-order said. It's either November or December, but I think I thought it was November, but when I was looking again, it was December. But anyway, at the end of this year, we're getting the first book in her new series, The Liars Club. And I knew this before reading this book. So, at the top of page 64, we meet a debutante that Meg was friends with. And she's currently in Paris with her older brother and his pregnant wife. And this girl's name is Honoria. And it says, either way, it runs in the family. The Hartley clan is a veritable liars club. So, I mean, I know, even if they aren't major characters, usually a side character in one of the final books of her series kind of leads us to the next series. Whether it's a side character in this one and a side character in the next one that kind of bridges them, or a side character that turns into a main character. But I don't know if Honoria is going to be our first heroine, but we got some hints. And her and Lucian's brother were kind of flirting, but I don't know if Lucian's brother is going to be a part of it. Or maybe Lucian's brother is going to be... Or not his brother, his cousin. Because he is a Viscount of his own right. If he will be a hero for one or the other... we don't know very much about the makeup of her family. Outside of she does have other siblings. And her older brother is already married and his wife is currently pregnant. And he's a captain, I think. And then, so she's Honoria Hartley, I think is what it said. But yeah, Hartley. So I'm excited. I'm super duper excited. And Honoria, when her and Meg are hanging out, is kind of giving Meg flirting things, because one thing that really kind of is threaded throughout this is that there has been a lot of situations where Meg still very much kind of has a baby face, and so people treat her like she's still a young woman or a young girl, even though she's a veritable woman. And the Duke is really the first person to see her as a woman, and why she holds up the charade is playing as, or not coming out directly and saying, but she's like positing, well, what if I'm not Lady Avalon? So she's kind of towing the line there, because she also likes how he makes her feel and how he thinks she could be a seductress when no one has ever thought of her that way. And I just loved it. I just loved it. I mean, we got like a Arthurian kind of retelling-ish. It just... If you haven't tried Vivi and the Rat, I highly recommend it. Now, I will say, I have tried reading this series via audiobook, and I could not get through the first like half hour of the audiobook. I'm not a big fan, at least of the first book in the series, of the audiobook. I much prefer to read them in paperback. I don't know if that's Avon's doing or how much say Vivi and the Rat has in it, but I just read her in paperback. So maybe don't pick up the audiobooks for this unless that kind of thing doesn't bother you. I just didn't really like the way that they were portraying the character, who is Win, who's in the first one, and I don't know. I just love Vivi and the Rat, and I'm going to continue to say it, and I can't wait to read her new series that comes out later this year, which is super exciting, because usually we get one book a year from her, but I'm like here for it. So yeah. As for reading challenges, this worked for Read What You Own. This was my Courtship Row one for Romanceopoly. And so, like, you just saw me roll this in the previous clip, but read a historical romance with a clinch cover. So that Romanceopoly one is done. This also worked for Gildathon, is the last book in the series, so I'll get 15 points, plus the points for the other books. For the Pretty Pretty Princess Board Game Quarterly Challenge, I use this for Girl, which is read a book with a young person on the cover or in the story. And since we have over 150 pages with their child in the story, I'm counting it. And then for Read the Season, I pushed this to a holiday, and I used it for the letter M, because this is Mating Habits of Scoundrels. So there is And that is what I read. I finished that during the game last night, and I didn't read anything else last night. So I have some reading plans for this weekend, which I'll mention in next week's vlog, but I will be starting this bad boy later today. A thick boy for sure, but I'm bittersweet about starting it because it's the final Sarah J. Maas book in the SJM read-along, which is sad. But I'm also excited to talk about it and be able to not have to worry about spoilers and just be able to talk about everything and speculate with everybody. The SJM Along live shows are one of my favorite live shows that I've ever participated in on BookTube. They're just so much fun. And everyone is just so excited to talk about these books. And even if we're noticing different things, or there's some things that people don't really like or don't really understand, just the way that everybody is able to come together and have just a really thoughtful and mindful discussion. And there's no like, yucking someone's yum kind of a situation. It's just, I don't know. I feel like the community that was built with this read along, and especially as we gotten into the later books where people kind of fallen off, even though it was only been like one book a month, the people that are left are similar to me, where we're in it for the long haul, and we have so much that we want to talk about and gush about and discuss, and it's just, I love it. So thank you, Jen, for creating the SJM Along. And I'm excited to read it and for the live show that's coming up next week. But let's do the quest calendar because that's all next week. But I just can't help myself because I love things. So where I last left you, we finally opened the treasure box. So let's see what Friday brought. Okay, it looks like we're on the bridge of our ship. And it looks, let's see if we can get it better in the light. It looks like I can't tell if our window cracked or what happened, but they don't have good looks on their faces. So let's see. You get a communication from the bridge of the Karnak. This is the captain. Head back to the ship at once. Okay. We are getting readings of some approaching ships. They likely got the distress call as well. They could be raiders. We need to evacuate now. Okay, so number 1, get back to the ship. Constitution roll, remind your athlete. And 2, prepare your station quickly, which is a wisdom roll. All right, so number 1, get back to the ship. Racing back to the Karnak quickly but safely is a tough challenge against your stamina. You race out of the obstacle course that is the damaged Argyle ship. You then move quickly across the rocky asteroid, vaulting over obstacles and unsure footing. This tests your ability to keep your stamina. Okay, so we do have athlete. Cool. So we will get a +2. And our constitution is a +1. So a total of +3 to our d20. And that is a 1. We will be using our time step to re-roll. And we get 1 a page. And that's a 16. So much better. So much better. Oh my goodness. So what was it? So 19 total. Okay, you make it back to the Karnak without injury. Nayli takes off in the ship just as you make it on board, and that was a 15 or more. So now prepare your station quickly. Just a straight wisdom roll, of which we have a +3, and that is an 18, so 21. My goodness! If the result is 15 or more, you make it to the bridge and position yourself at your terminal quickly. You are ready to take over the controls without a moment of hesitation. Gain an extra +10 bonus to your aim and evasion rolls on the next page's ship combat. Okay, so I'm going to make a note. +10 on Sunday, which is 3/26. Okay. So I made a note so I don't forget when I film the clip, probably late tomorrow afternoon. And that's it. So thank you so much for watching week 12. I know this is probably a long one because I gushed about a lot of books this week, but I'm kind of getting back into reading a lot, which is nice, and I'm really loving it. And books are just really kind of hitting the spot, and I am finishing March so strong book-wise. And I'm really hoping that just continues to kind of roll into April, and I can still kind of stay on this, quickly getting through things. But yeah, if you'd like to leave me a comment down below, let me know if there's any read-alongs that you've been participating in that you are having a lot of fun in. And I might try to do like read the books and then watch the live shows after the fact type of situation. And if you'd like to just leave me an emoji, leave me your favorite book emoji. But otherwise, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you all soon with another video.